Well, good morning. I am Jamila McMallow, mindset coach for women executives and entrepreneurs. And today we are talking about this topic of no, you are not too much. All of us powerful women, go getters, high achievers, high performers, however you want to define yourself, all of us at some point during our life have heard this term of being too much. Oh, you're too much, or whatever. And what I want to let you know is that you're not, first of all. But second of all, when you hear that, mainly from other women, or sometimes you might hear from men, that it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with this other person and how they feel about who they are not. See, when you show up unapologetically, when you're willing to be visible and share your expertise, your opinions, your knowledge, people who have fear around putting themselves out there in an effort to make themselves feel better will tear you down. I like to call them levelers. And you could take a moment because you may have some coming to your mind right now, but this is a term that I came up with some years ago because being empathic, I can feel what other people are feeling. And I've always had an aversion before I even understood what it was that I was doing or this ability that I have. I just knew that there were certain people that I just didn't like. Like I just didn't jive with. It was like something, like an ick, like a really, like I said, an aversion to them. And it was people who were not being sincere or genuine. Like there was a fakeness to them. Now, I'm not talking about the person who maybe is struggling, maybe with low self esteem, whatever. I'm talking about there are people who sometimes deliberately hide who they are in an effort to kind of manipulate other people. And that was something that I would pick up on, but I wasn't really sure what it was at the time. But what I noticed was these individuals, what they like to do is hone in on you and what you're doing and then try to tear it down because they feel insecure about who they are. They don't feel confident in their positions or opinions, or the positions and opinions that they have they know are not maybe something that would be generally accepted as healthy or moral, you know. Um, and so they try to tear you down to make themselves feel better. Sometimes this can happen from people who actually mean well, right? Sometimes it's that your family members, maybe they don't want to see you hurt, they don't want to see you fail, they don't want to see you lose money, they don't want to see you embarrassed or whatever. And so they will discourage you from maybe putting yourself out there, maybe discourage you from doing a business venture, maybe discourage you from hiring someone or investing in yourself to become better. Okay. And so sometimes their motives are good based on their limited viewpoint of the world from their perspective, right? But no matter the reason or the source, some are sinister, some are sincere. No matter the source, the whole point of it is to get you to dim your light. The whole point of somebody telling you that you're too much, you're too loud, you're too opinionated, you're too this, you're too that, has to do with something about you that they don't like about themselves. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't, you know, personality traits and qualities and characteristics that we all have that can kind of get on each other's nerves, rub each other the wrong way. That's true. Okay. Sometimes people just don't like each other because they just don't, they're not compatible. No biggie. But in this scenario, what happens is when you hear this kind of feedback, it can actually cause you to shrink back. It can actually cause you to start to play small, to just stay in the box, to feel like you're not allowed to share your accomplishments, your wins, the things that you're good at, because maybe the person next to you isn't. And the feeling there is if somehow you express your joy and your happiness over what good is happening to you, that you can't do that because it might make this person over here feel bad, who, by the way, is not even trying about their situation. And so in a way, it's like you are, I wouldn't say being punished, but being made to feel like there's something wrong with the bigness of who you are. Like there's something wrong with the greatness that is like brewing within you. And when I say greatness, I'm not talking about arrogance or conceit, because that's fake confidence. I'm talking about the fact that you are someone who is trying to do good in the world, to share your gifts, either through your business or in your corporate job, but you're trying in some way to do good. And there are people who see you stepping out there in your courage, who truly, if they're really honest about it, they are jealous because it's not something they feel like they could do, or they're even envious because they don't feel like you even deserve to be doing that. So again, it has to do with them, not you. So you want to be very careful about the languaging that you allow to circulate in your mind. You want to get very clear on the messaging and the conditioning that you received as a little girl that encouraged you to stay and play small, that shoved you in a box, that told you what women were allowed to do, who they were allowed to be, for work, for money, whatever. And you need to really get clear on what those messages are so that you can change them. Because when you're a little girl, you're wide open, right? You don't have any sort of control over what comes into you. But when you get to be an adult, now you get to choose what you are going to keep and what you are going to get rid of, what you are going to accept and what you are going to reject. And you absolutely must do this in order to move into the next level version of yourself, the version of yourself that is no longer shackled by the limiting beliefs of other people, the conditioning and of other people who've never even done what you're trying to do. They've never been an entrepreneur. They've never had a successful business. They've never had a career at this level, C-suite executive, VP, whatever. They've never done that. But boy, are they full of advice. It's no different than, don't take advice from people who are broke or ain't making the kind of money you want to make. Don't take financial advice from them. Okay, they don't know. How do they know? They don't even know if their advice works, because it's clearly they haven't applied it in their life, period, or long enough to see a result. So if they're telling you something that they're not even doing themselves or have evidence or results to back it up, why are you taking advice from them? You don't take relationship advice from people who are not happily married when you want to be happily married. So you do not take advice or receive the words of individuals who are not trying to go beyond the box. You don't let them tell you to shrink back and to hold yourself back because it makes them uncomfortable with who they are not. Now, I'm going to share a little story with you. We all have our backgrounds, we all have our family members, we all have our relatives, etc. Well, unfortunately, I grew up with a relative who was very, very, quite frankly, abusive. And this individual just had a lot of insecurities about who they were, and their place in the family. And rather than grow up, when you get to be an adult, you get to now recognize and see things from the perspective of an adult. This individual continued in that same line of thinking. And so rather than celebrating, right, the success that I've enjoyed, the things that I've been able to do in my business, the clients that I've been able to work with, the women whose lives have been transformed by me being willing to put myself out there and support them and to help them and encourage them, this individual chose to look at that and like, well, who do you think you are? Like that. Oh, I know exactly who I am. Who do you think you are with your 5 degrees and no money? Stop letting people who are mad about where they are not in their life tear you down to make themselves feel better. See, some of us have grown up being the emotional scapegoat for one or maybe a number of family members. Don't allow that to continue. You, as an adult woman, you get to decide who has access to you. Mhm. Now, I'm a Christian. I read the Bible. The scriptures tell us parents and grandparents, we have an obligation to them because, they gave us life, all those things. To me, everybody else is optional. So, blood, whatever, if you decide that you want to treat me like an enemy, if you decide that you want to come at me with envy or all these ugly qualities and characteristics, if you want to be abusive, then guess what? You no longer have. You no longer have access. No access. And you have the right to do the same. So no, you are not too much. You being you is not too much. You're not being rude. You're not being obnoxious. You're not being, inappropriate. Now, if you are, okay, that's a different conversation. But we're just simply talking about you being fully expressed in your expertise, in your gifts, in what really you bring to other people's lives as far as value. There are individuals watching you who are jealous and envious of that. And I'm telling you to cut them off and remove them. They get no access to you. Okay? You're an adult. You get to decide what other adults get access to you. And if they decide that they don't want to be a happy, healthy member of your life, if they don't want to have a happy, healthy relationship with you, if they want to act like you owe them something and you owe them nothing other than just common decency and courtesy, then you have every right to revoke access. Okay? So again, no, you're not too much. You got to stop listening to people who are not doing what you want to do, who have not been where you are going, and who really are not rooting for you. They're not in your corner. And that can be a sad, hurtful thing to realize, but that's life. And I recently had to make that decision myself at 44 years of age. No access anymore. Unless and until this individual changes who they are being, how they are choosing to show up in the world as a fully grown adult, I mean beyond grown, until they decide to become someone that is, I can have a happy, healthy relationship. No access. And I feel peace, because there's no access. Stop letting people come in your life that are disturbing your peace. Okay. So that's what I have for you today. And please drop your thoughts in the comments. If you want to share something with me privately, you are more than welcome. And I look forward to seeing you next time.